Nagarathar Chamber of Commerce. Sail to prosper.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yeah. On behalf of Nagarathar Chamber of Commerce, I take great pleasure in welcoming three accomplished individuals. Mr. Jerry Kingsley, Senior Director of JLL. Welcome, Mr. Jerry. Mr. Suresh, Reddy, Founder Director of Hanu, Reddy, Realty. Mr. S Sridharan, Chairman of CREDAI and Director of Newry Properties. So it's a great pleasure to have three of you on this session of Nagarathar Chamber of Commerce. And this session will be moderated by Mr. Shiva Subramaniam of Srishti Builders. So in this session, we have close to 160 registrants from 9 different countries. And within India, we have people from 16 different cities. So with this, and I take great pleasure in welcoming all the 160 people who have registered. Some are yet to join. We have close to 74 people on board now. The others will be joining very shortly. So with these few words, I now request Shiva to kindly take over.
Yeah, welcome all. It's an auspicious day today. We've got the announcement that we can start work soon. So that's a great beginning. And it's great to have 3 industry leaders with us. And it's my pleasure to introduce them to you. The first leader is Mr. Sridharan Swaminathan. He's a director of Newry Properties and a chairman of CREDAI, Tamil Nadu. Yeah, he doesn't need an intro. His building speaks for him. He's got, I mean, all the building does is very well planned, well designed, and well executed. And he set a benchmark in the industry, the construction industry, with his quality and on-time delivery. And he's been a bridge between the government and the builders. We are deeply indebted to him for all the good work that he has done as the chairman CREDAI. And he's an accomplished professional with a financial and a legal outlook. He was in Madras Stock Exchange, and he was also. There's a queue for all the stockbroking giants in our chamber that somebody from the stockbroking, is big into development. Yeah, and he's heading a Hong Kong-based company, having a global presence. They've completed about 75 projects with 2.5 million square foot. And he's also managing Srishti schools in Vellore. Anything Srishti denotes excellence. And he's also involved in a CSR activity. They're running a school for underprivileged. And he's very much like, all his values and ethos are very much like us. He thinks big, earns big, and donates big. So very good to have you, sir. That's about. And the next leader is going to be Mr. Suresh Reddy. I mean, I call them the leaders because they are industry movers. They're moving the industry. And Mr. Suresh Reddy, Hanu is the director of Hanu Reddy Realty, who are operating 7 cities spread across 5 states. And he's personally represented several large IT companies. And he's been involved in negotiating properties to value of 1,200 crores. His family has been in real estate for 8 decades. And he's managing properties worth over 1,000 crores. And how is that possible? Because he's a civil engineer from Guindy Engineering College and a bachelor's of law from Madras Law College. And he's also the founding president of Chennai Real Estate Agents and member of CII Infrastructure Panel, and also a member of the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce. And he's run about 31 marathons. So that's the secret behind his success, probably adopting a healthy lifestyle. So I wish that every one of us, do our exercise a bit so that we are charged and we can go full Zoom on the 20th of April. Yeah, and he's also planted several lakh of trees, which is absolutely fantastic. And the next one, the next industry leader is Mr. Jerry Kingsley. He's the king of all transactions in JLL. He has Jerry has transacted over 9 million square foot of office space and 500 acres of land over the last 12 years. That's an astounding achievement. And he's He's an excellent in understanding various business models and market dynamics across asset classes, including office, land, capital markets, and industrial hubs. He has been advising developers, occupiers, and investors. He's also currently managing the P&L for land in Chennai and capital markets in South India of JLL. Yeah, thank you all for coming, for being with us, and I would first like Mr. Jerry Kingsley to share his views. Yeah, Mr. Jerry Kingsley.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Shiva, for the introduction, and thank you all for the opportunity. Mr. Shiva, how much time is there? Accordingly, I will tailor
you can
talk.
take about 12 to 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
Time. So about 5:30, I'll try to wrap it up.
Yeah.
What I'll be speaking in the next 15 minutes is just a broad assessment on the various asset classes, the feelers which we are getting from the discussions which we are having internally and across the landscape. So I've just broken it down into various segments. So if you look at, just as a summary, if you look at what corporate occupiers are doing, they are focusing currently on their health, well-being, and business continuity for their clients, as well as for their employees aspects. So they are focusing on well-being of their employees and business continuity for their clients. So far, whatever they have done, the remote working has worked out fairly successfully. The SLAs which the companies have for their respective clients have kind of moved smoothly. What's also being witnessed is earlier there was high densification, so that is posing as a risk. So a lot of mitigation aspects are being done, and also we are seeing key consideration in terms of investors looking at stability, looking at operational functionality and things like that. What we've also been hearing is that a lot of automation could come up in various sectors. But what I'd like to start off with is on a positive note on what we have seen from our colleagues in China. We speak extensively with our colleagues across cities, and when we are going through these unprecedented times, during these unprecedented times in uncharted waters, what we are trying to do is to pick up clues from somebody who has already gone through it. So if you look at the Asian market, China and Pacific, they are about 6 to 8 weeks ahead of us, right? So they've already seen this flattening of the curve happen, and things are fairly back to normal. We have our colleagues about 70-80% working in their offices fully, right? So that has already started happening. What we've also seen is immediately after the lockdown, companies like Capital Land, which is a fund based in Singapore, they've registered a maximum or even higher sales in residential before what it was in December. So that pent-up demand has actually, happened. Landlords there are a lot more flexible, to ensure that their tenant interests are met. And one very interesting thing is all the malls there have opened. All the malls there have opened. So after maybe 1-2 month kind of a drop in business, people have started to walk in, and things have also kind of stabilized there. So if we kind of take cues from China, who have already gone through this cycle, definitely there is light at the end of the tunnel, and whatever is being witnessed there is something which, not to 100%, but at least there are certain kind of data points which we can, take cue there and, work accordingly, right? So that is just an introduction. So what we'll do is just quickly run through the different asset class. We'll move on to the next slide, which is on commercial real estate office space. If that is put up on the screen.
Jerry, 1 minute. Yeah, I'm sharing the presentation.
Sure, Mr. Manish. Yes, that's the right slide. So this is a market which we, as JLL, track extensively. If you look at 2019, it has been the best year for commercial real estate for the country so far. the country witnessed close to 60 million square feet of absorption, right? So we started this year having a very, very strong, visibility of deals moving into 2020. So that's how the commercial real estate started. One good thing what we are seeing is for all the transactions which is currently happening, nobody has actually called it off, which is a positive thing. Even during these time of lockdowns, we've kind of concluded a couple of large, 500,000 square feet kind of office transactions, and all these are American companies. So definitely, things have not been stalled. Another important thing is India's absorption at about 60 million is the largest in the world. So irrespective of whatever happens, even if it drops by 15-20%, there is enough activity which is going to happen. So the key thing what we have seen is, as we said, there's no deals which have been called off. It is only that there is a pause. Definitely the type of transaction which will happen here will be a lot more different. Tenants will definitely ask for flexibilities like longer rent-free periods, because their fit-out period could get extended because of the supply chain issues. Lot of emphasis on business continuity planning. So as corporates, what companies were doing earlier is, if I have 3 offices in different location of the city, I will reduce cost by moving it into a single location, right? So if 3 offices come into a single location, then I will be able to minimize my admin costs, minimize my transportation costs, minimize my overheads and things like that. So that is something which is going to change now. Companies are going to think differently, having different offices in different zones to ensure that business continuity happens. Work from home has picked up in a big way, right? So that will also have a shift in thought process for companies. Companies, when they are doing their renewals and renewals, a lot more flexibility will come in. One important trend which we've seen is when multinationals started moving into the country way back in 1995, 1996, like Accenture, for instance, was having about 150 square feet per person. But slowly over the years, with the real estate cost going up, the number of seats in a floor started getting smaller, and number of seats started becoming higher and higher, and space per employee started becoming smaller and smaller. So 150 per square feet was the average, came down to as low as even 40 to 60 per employee. So with this social distancing and even today's regulation that each person has to maintain a 6 feet distance in offices, that is going to change the way offices are going to be designed. So if each person's space is going to be bigger, their requirement for office space will also be larger. So that is something which we are seeing. So there'll be a lot of cellularization within offices, zones which will be created. And what we are seeing is developers who had these deals going, they are extending their arm to ensure that the deal is concluded quickly, as long as their broad interests are kept in mind. And what we are also certainly seeing is there will be a lot of focus on health, hygiene aspects of a building. So property management, facility management, all those aspects will start in a big way. So these are some of the trends which we are seeing as far as commercial real estate is concerned. So we could move on to the next slide, which will talk about residential. While we even transition, the other good thing is there is a lot of talk about companies going back to their home territories, like American companies investing more in their own locations and things like that. But what is going to happen is, whenever there's a cost pressure, we have seen more outsourcing to happen, right? So there is a silver lining. Even the $2 trillion bill which the American government has imposed will slowly start coming into the banking system, which means that more financial services jobs will get outsourced. A lot of investment is going to happen in pharma and life sciences companies. So you'll see a lot of activity in that segment itself. So that's just a summary of the commercial office perspective. One other point is, in terms of commercial office, so far this co-working players were having a bull run. A lot of players started mushrooming. So what's going to happen is there will be a consolidation which will happen because co-working players rely on very, very tight cash flows, right? So that is definitely something which is going to have an impact. Moving on to the next segment, which is residential. What we are seeing definitely is that there is a lot of silver lining already there. The residential sector had a little bit of pain, but again, what we are seeing is if you look at the interest rates at probably its historic low, which could trigger some interest. And also what we are seeing is there was a lot of money which was going into the stock market in various financial instruments. But with the stock markets being volatile, some of that capital will again, come into real estate. And now there is a very, very strict or very, very clear thinking that at the end of the day, the security which everyone has is their home, right? So irrespective of a lot of co-living players coming, where you have limited control over who you're sharing your house with. So there is going to be a lot of focus on people owning homes. So definitely, the residential sector will go through that cycle, but it's not all negative is what we will say. So interest rates coming down. So far the challenge in residential was interest rate was at about 8-9%, and your residential rental returns, the yields was only at about 2%. So the gap was so much. Now with the interest rates coming down, and the difference between your rental returns and interest rates becoming smaller, that could prompt some interest as well. And what we've also seen is it's definitely not an industry benchmark, but Godrej had launched a project in Bombay during this lockdown, saw good amount of sales. Runwal had launched a project during this lockdown. They had also seen good amount of sales. So those are some of the silver lining which we are seeing. And if you compare this downturn with the previous downturn in 2008-9, there is a lot of difference. Even if you look at Chennai already, although the unsold inventory is high in few locations where connectivity and infrastructure is bad, what we are seeing is the number of new launches in the city was at its lowest. So even in 2019, the number of new launches was only about 7,500. So there's not too much oversupply, not too many launches which has happened. So in that way, the market should be fairly, insulated. We don't have a huge oversupply kind of a situation. And definitely, now it is a buyer's market, and there is a lot of focus on having the right size, So we are immediately seeing trends in our other cities that the focus on 2-bedroom and a study has started to pick up, right? So we are doing some online assessments to see what would be the interest. So with people working from home and the need for having a workspace at home, this 2-bedroom study kind of a concept is again something which is coming into picture. So definitely there is some silver lining which will be there, and prices have always been at a, has already peaked, and it's at a level where we don't foresee any major drop in prices also, right? So that is something which is there. Construction delays will be there. With the the laborers moving to their hometown. So that is going to affect the residential market also. What we've also seen is developers who are having launches in these months, they obviously have to push it by a couple of months. So that is something which is there. But as Mr. Shiva said, the good thing is construction being permitted, which is again going to have something which is a positive impact. So there is definitely a lot of green shoots. It's definitely not all gloom as far as the residential segment is concerned. Just in the last couple of minutes, what I'd like to focus on is if we move to the next slide, Mr. Ganeshan. So we spoke about commercial, we spoke about residential. the biggest beneficiary, what we would say, is the manufacturing sector, right? So, I mean, all of us would be reading articles about companies, probably looking at moving out of China, which is definitely true because we keep speaking to many of our clients. Foxconn had earlier decided to have most of their Apple manufacturing in China, right? So that is being questioned right now as to why probably 90% of Apple's third-party contract manufacturing happens in China. So there would be a lot of manufacturing which moves out of China, which comes to Southeast Asia, which could be India, it could be Sri Lanka, it could be Vietnam, it could be Indonesia. India is well poised to capture this, and if India gains stands to benefit, Tamil Nadu as a location has been one of the hub for manufacturing. All of us will remember how Ford came into this city, and Ford started its manufacturing. From manufacturing, it started its IT services. From IT, it started its shared services. Now it has its technology division, all employing close to 10,000 people in Sholingnallur. So if manufacturing picks up, definitely, there will be a spin-off benefit in other sectors as well. So definitely, manufacturing logistics is something which will benefit out of this. The retail segment, currently, there is obviously with most of the malls and social gatherings being avoided, that will have some immediate pain. But if we can take clues from what happened in China, even recovery there should be something which should be at a reasonable time. But it is something which we will have to wait and watch. So I just conclude in the last slide about just a couple of other segments. So a lot of new asset classes are emerging. Chennai, for instance, is a destination for data centers because Chennai has the submarine landing cable, right? So in India, it is first Bombay, and then it is Chennai. So this is where we are having a lot of data center inquiries. So this is again, which is going to attract investments with the lockdown happening, with data consumption increasing, online streaming happening. The growth of data centers is also something which is going to increase. So if you look at, as a summary, if you look at it overall, in this disruption which has happened, most of our investors are telling us that, India definitely is well poised. Obviously, in the short run, there is going to be, uncertainty because there is no crystal ball glazing. There's absolutely no clarity as to how things will move. But if you break it down asset classes wise, commercial, even if there's a 15-20% drop, there is enough activity in each city. Commercial anyway is going through a lack of supply kind of a situation. So, the demand drop will also be fine. Residential, the interest rate drop, the difference between interest rate and the rental returns is low. Money from the stock market coming back into real estate, and people looking at homes differently because there's so much of analogy that, renting is better, co-living has come, so you don't have to buy houses. All that thought process could definitely undergo a change. Manufacturing, the biggest, beneficiary to attract investments, and newer areas like data centers, which will attract more investment. So these are some of the broad things which we are observing. As everyone knows, too early to make any predictions, but these are just some of the trends which we have put together based on our interactions with our colleagues across the country, as well as our clients.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Jerry. That's a very positive note, saying all the manufacturing. You're saying very good things for the manufacturing. So all those people who have industrial sheds and or who have manufacturing units are going to do very well. That's a very good note. And you're also saying the prices for the residential will be stable. And with the interest rates lowering, definitely, I think that will be a good time to buy. Yeah, thank you so much. And with this, we will go to Mr. Sridharan. Yeah, who's doing a great service. I mean, as a CREDAI chairman is also, he's got very good insights to share with us. Thank you, Mr. Sridharan.
Yeah, thank you, Palniappan, Mr. Shiva, Mr. Ganeshan, for having invited me. Hope my voice is clear.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will more address on a centric basis of Chennai and Tamil Nadu. because is that okay? You'll be happy about it?
That's
Yeah.
fine. That's fine.
Yeah. So, this is a time when everybody has started realizing what is a home. We are all at home. I finished my house around 10 years back. I did my house. Even today, I don't know which switch is what, where is what. This is a time I could learn everything. So the importance of a house is felt, why a house is needed. All that is what is coming back. Even though you built a bungalow, you never knew what was inside. There are a lot of unused rooms which we started visiting. So this is the level of the importance of the house that we have got. When it comes to Chennai, this market has been a very, very, last year was a tough market. A lot of unsold stock started moving out, except for 1 or 2 areas where we had some glut. We have been almost all the stocks have wiped out, and we have been only launching. The new launches are that which are waiting. There are few flats that were available that were all oversized apartments. There was a time when, you plan something and the market turns. There was a time when they said you should need a 3,000 square foot flat or a 2,500 square foot flat. For a period of time, that changed into 1,500 square foot. The trend of the people thinking what they want has changed. So what stock is available now is not a big stock up to Chennai. So that is why we told Deepak also when he was addressing of HDFC yesterday that we cannot compare Bombay, Bangalore, Bombay, Delhi or NCR region with Chennai. And Chennai cannot be compared even with Bangalore. So the markets here are literally different. And here the land has got a great value. People feel that land is what is their wealth. This is the next goal. The land is what they feel is a wealth. So that importance will continue to be there. Yes, definitely next 3 months is going to be a little tough period, because there is a psychological setback more than the actual setback, what you're going to see. Even before going to the office, everybody thinks what's going to happen. It's all, in Tamil, yugam. We are all assuming what things can happen. But once we go back to the office, the first positive thing will be going to start the work. In all probability, tomorrow the local government might issue an order giving a green signal to start the work. Maybe not in the red zone and all the other zones. Wherever there is a red zone, they may not permit. In all the other zones, most of the projects, the big projects are all outside the city. So they may not have a problem. So that will be a very big confidence builder. Once you start the work, the customers feel happy. Oh, at least they are starting the work. So that is going to happen. I'll come to affordable housing. See, this affordable housing segment, what is sold in Chennai is at a rate which is a throwaway rate. You get at 25 lakhs, 20 lakhs, 25 lakhs, 30 lakhs. This is what is the planned one, which the market has been a little positive about. That format of housing will continue to go, but there is a scare. People talk about job loss. What happens if there is a job loss in the sector, the C sector, then the investment may not come. To our knowledge, I don't think any of the manufacturing hubs in Chennai or anybody is going to send anybody out as of now. So because the way we recover back, I think it is just a pass through. This is a time which will pass through. This 3 months, maybe it will be a holiday period. After 3 months, we'll find that everything going back to normal and things will start. So I keep telling my fellow members that do not be in a haste on a hasty decision, either to cut prices or don't jump prices. Because they say cement is going to go up. No, don't think of all that. Consolidate yourself. What is the market? Consolidate yourself. Even on land, do not jump into the land or do not say no to it. Wait for some time. Do not let the landowners at lurch. At the same time, talk to them. Let there be some period. Give a cooling period for us to really take this forward. This is what is the advice we have been telling our people. So basically, the residential segment is going to find a lot of importance. There is going to be a lot of change of designs coming. We had an architect meeting a couple of days back. We had a Zoom with architects. Now, this having a balcony in the house becomes very important. There are a lot of multi-storied buildings which we do. People are not allowed to come outside and walk. You cannot come down to the car park and walk. They're not allowing. And there is a restriction on movement. You can go only once outside and come back once inside. So they don't allow you. The large complexes I'm talking about, not all complexes. This all makes you think about having a small open terrace into your house or a little 2 balconies for one from your bedroom. You have a son coming from abroad or a daughter coming from abroad. You want to quarantine them for 28 days. It is miserable to lock them inside a house without a balcony. They don't have a fresh air at all. These are all the concepts we are talking with architects. So there is going to be a change of design. People are looking at affordable people who are thinking of 2-bedroom will look at a 3-bedroom now, because the spacing comes. They want little more space, and time to spend in the house is going to be more. This is what everybody feels. Even the top architects, the top consultants feel that the time a person is going to spend in the house from now on as a lesson is going to be more. But at the same time, being in the house also has become a very big problem. So working from home, I have been trying. That is the most miserable thing that can happen to anybody. You can never work from home. We are not comfortable with that because practically nothing moves. Maybe one sector can be happy, but even the women staff of our office, I have almost 20, 25 people, women staff working. All of them want to come back at the earliest. This is the reaction we get from them. We thought, so this thing of all these concepts will change. The mid segment will have which is below. We always say that anything below 50 lakhs used to have a very good movement. 50 to 75 lakhs is the next stage of movement. 75 to 1 crore, up to that, also there is a reasonable movement. Once it stretches beyond 1 crore, there has always been a little bit of resistance. The number of buyers were little choosy, and when it goes to the high class, it's different. It's only the few, you pick and choose. So we will not touch on that. Now we have to see how this segment is going to change. Yes, for 3 months, there might be a lull. People will hold on. They will not take immediate decisions. Hence, this is the time we are pushing with the government to give lot of concession. It is not the concession has to be given to the builder. The concession has to go to the customer. A person who is investing to buy the home should be lured to come and buy the home. He should be given an incentive. Give him a reduction in stamp duty, which is the highest in the whole of the country. Whole of country, we are the ones who are paying 11%. So give him a choice. You reduce the stamp duty is what our demand even today was. Give him the benefit, and then on the GST. Now it's 1% for the affordable housing, and other housing it's 5%. And in the 1% of affordable housing, there is a limit. When you do a 60 square meter inside the city and outside is 90 square meter, but the cap is 45 lakhs. Last meeting with the finance minister, we told him, please cut that 45 lakhs, make it 75 lakhs. If it is 75 lakhs cap is felt, the buyer becomes more convenient. This outflow towards GST comes to only 1%. So basically now going and asking for reduction in GST to reduce from 5%, I don't know how far it's going to happen, but we are insisting on the government to give us the input tax credit because it is a direct cost effect. These are all the benefits which can go to the customer. Give him a liberty of going and don't have restrictions and reinvestment of capital gains, saying that you can only buy 1 house, 2 hours, have the flexibility of allowing him to invest, and also the interest what is paid by him for the purchase of a flat to be written off as expenses, which was barred in the last budget. These are all some of the steps which we are talking to the government, which will incentivize the buyer to come to the market. So we have a strong feeling in another 3 months, housing will start moving the same way what it was. More so in Chennai and inside Tamil Nadu. When you take tier 2 and tier 3 cities, I have few people I think are from Trichy, Madurai and all that have joined.
Yeah, from Salem.
Okay. Salem. When tier 2, tier 3 comes, you will find people buying houses there are all actual users. It is all actual users. So this market may not be affected much. That market may not be affected much. More like Chennai can have a small effect, but the tier 2, tier 3 might be little reasonable in their thing. But there will be a gap of 3 months. So this investment decision might get postponed, but it will only be delayed, but it will not stop. So the investment will continue to happen. So housing will always be a thing. Everybody needs a house. So there is a positive attitude to this. And what has happened in China, like what Jerry was saying, immediately the housing started picking up. People who are all living together. There have been, a lot of bachelors living together, sharing an apartment will all start moving out now. Joint families would like to have another house now. All this concept will start coming because distancing has become a point of game. But I don't know how far this is till the next incident happens. Once the next incident happens, this will get forgotten. So this is the moment. Okay, this is the housing, but more on the housing, I'll take questions on anything, no problem. And coming to the office space. Office space demand up to Chennai has always been on the positive side for the last 1 year. That too more on the small segment. That was a very rare phenomenon. Like you take areas like Gindi, Gindi has got a lot of demand, the Perungudi area, all these areas where a small format building is done of a 20,000 or 25,000 square foot building were all leasable immediately. And all the large format buildings, including a 25 lakh square foot building, which was done in that in one of the locations by one of our promoter, started getting the booking. So there has been a lot of demand for the office space. So this office space demand, once again, there is only a small setback now. I differ with Jerry that working from home might affect us because working from home is only comfortable for few industries. What can happen is shift working can come. You know, there used to be Cognizant used to have day and night shift continuously. Maybe that will start being revived where you can have a spacing between the thing, but people want an office, you know, because whatever you do on Zoom discussions and all that, the productivity, when you see that what productivity you get on the office may not come on that. But this is a thing which you have to see on the next go. But up to Chennai market on office, there was already a shortage of space. You know, both of us, me and Jerry, did a small presentation around a couple of months back in one of the forums where there was a lot of demand coming which was not met. So at least what has been built and what is being built, what supply is coming now to the market will continue to have demand. But yes, there will be a tough negotiation for rent. The rentals will be strained. Yet it all depends on, it is a give and take. The advice that we give to our members is hold on to the clients. Do not leave them. Hold on to the clients. How you want to make them happy is it is an individual decision every one of you take. But you understand that he's also got a pain. Whatever is a pain, you try to talk to him and make it okay so that there is a win-win situation for both. This is the advice we have been giving. You know that, Jitu of Embassy is one of the largest office player in the market. He was on the Zoom with us around a couple of days back. He's the largest player in India now. He's got, I don't know how many million square foot of office space on the rights he's holding. They are all going on the same front. He says, yeah, go for a 1 month waiver or something like that. You talk to on one-to-one basis, but do not lose the client is what is a basic advice that is being given across the board, because this is a situation where everyone might lose a little, but don't mind to lose, but on a long term, make ourselves strong. This is the whole concept and idea which we are looking at. I have some more time or?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I'll move on to the next is about a little about on the warehousing space.
That's important. Yeah, the people are looking forward for that.
Yeah. Warehousing, as you all know, that warehousing market has grown tremendously across board in India, in Chennai and suburbs. The only problem is the return on investment, which was always under strain. Like if you are a landowner and you don't mind doing it, it was always profitable. But if you look at as an investment cost, if you put money on that day and do that project, it may not be viable. But now there is a lot of demand, which will continue to grow with all this online marketing picking up. They expect that they want in the peripheral areas of Chennai for easy supply of material. Even in this lockdown time, including JLL and 3 people are sending mails to us, asking for proposals to be given for some top chain. So this is another market you can all look at, because this market will continue to grow along with the data center. But data center will be area specific, because they have a lot of conditions for a data center. Like a data center should not be close to a water body. It should have a lot of power supply. It should be a power plant, should be close by. All those issues need to be addressed. So when it comes to your warehousing, there are areas in the Bangalore highway is doing very well. And areas like Reddy's, even though the rentals are less, leasability, you can put it on lease at a very faster space. So this is another important trait. Coming to our last one on what we are doing with the government. Now we have been to government to incentivize everybody, including the builders, as a whole thing. We have been asking the ministry, the finance minister, and to the prime minister, saying that to give us a lot of leverage on the bank, whatever the bank interest to be waived off, so that this to tide over the situation is going on one front. Up to the state government, we are asking for waiver of stamp duty, at least for some time, to reduce the stamp duty drastically, to improve the purchasing power, to bring the customers to the market. And we are also gone one step ahead. All the DC charges. Nowadays, the charges for a planning approval, I don't know how many of you would have gone. It is huge. It will come to almost 90 rupees, 100 rupees, or 70 rupees a square foot is what is the approval charges. You have to pay your multiple fees like infrastructure charges, then shelter charges, number of charges. Now, today morning, when the meeting with the Deputy CM, we told them, we don't want to pay these charges now. One thing is you reduce the charges and also allow these charges to be paid at completion of the project, just before the completion certificate is issued, where your capital investment into the project should be only for construction, not for the other extra cost. We all need to survive together. It is not that one can do. The client, you need to give the best product to the client, give them the best rate, and you need to sustain, and everyone has to sustain. So this is a concept we are working on. So we are very hopeful that we will come out of the situation, and there is nothing negative. Forgetfulness is the best thing in all of India. People forget, till next incident happens, everything will go away from the mind. Then they will talk about, now nobody talks about S Bank. What happened to S Bank? Where is S Bank? It's gone. So S Bank will go away. All things will go away. It is wait till the next incident. But this is a major one. But time will pass. I think things will come back to normal. It will take 3 months for us to settle down. We hope everything will turn positive. Yeah, I hope it's clear, but I'll take a lot of questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, Sridharan. That's very nice to hear from you. A lot of positive things for the builders and for the home buyers. Probably the home buyers can expect lesser interest rates and definitely a lot of incentives from the government. And it's very nice that you've represented a lot of things that the builders also want. I mean, it's very sweet. News. I'm very glad to hear that. It's great. And as he says, we just have to hold on for another 3 months' time, and we can definitely be back big time. And he's got very good news for the industrial sheds, warehousing. For those also, he's got very good news. So all those that are holding on to it, yeah, it's a good time again for all of us. So thank you, Mr. Sridharan. And now
Thank you.
we will go to Mr. Suresh Reddy. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good evening. And I thank the organizers for inviting me to talk on impact of COVID-19 on real estate. COVID-19 is something very new to the world, and the impact on the world economy is very severe. The world GDP has dropped by about 12% the last 3 months, January, February, March, which I have not seen anything like this in my 40 years of experience in real estate. With regard to real estate, there definitely be a correction in prices. And this correction in prices will be there for the last, for at least 6 months to a year. And this will be the best time for buyers to buy. Because landlords will be very flexible in their terms, and liquidity will be shortage. So people with liquid funds can get great deals in this 1 year.